Hello. Welcome back to the LTL podcast. It is September 15th, 2023, and this is episode 77. And this one's been on the books for a while. I've been meaning to get to it. I just haven't gotten around to it because when I had this episode planned is when the Danilo Cavalcante escape and chase took off. So obviously we were going to stay with that case. But I've been meaning to get into this. I'm going to try to present this as best as I can this evening because there's so much layers to what is going on. And there's so many theories and there's so many opinions as to what's going on. But I'm going to try to present and show you just things that I find odd, things that I find in this whole situation that needs some attention. I just want to show different angles to things that are going on, possibly going on in Maui, in Lahaina. Just awareness, I guess, this evening. And I know that this is probably going to get a little political as to like aid and help, but I want to make sure that you all understand where I'm coming from because some people may get very angry at what I show this evening and what I talk about. I want to make it very clear that I would be just as critical of any president that is leading during a time like this, that has the power to allocate funds, that has the power to get the specific help needed in Maui. Now, there's a lot of things that are going on and things that I'm going to point out where politically you may not stand with how I present it or how I show it, but it's how I feel. And I think it's things that people need to see. So I know this may get political. It's probably going to get a little political. It's probably going to fire up some people in the chat, but it's to bring some awareness. And again, I'm going to repeat this. I would be critical, just as critical of any president in power right now that has the problem-solving power to fix this situation. So we'll get into the presentation tonight. I'm going to try my best to present this. There's a lot to go through here. I may jump around a little bit, but bear with me. But ultimately, in the end of this, all we want to do is bring some awareness to as what is going on out in Maui, in Lahaina, so people understand what happened and we can get to the bottom of what happened here. I do all want to let you know this. I was talking about in the previous podcast about the situation that happened out in Cranston, Rhode Island with the flood victims of the Dean Estates. Now, it's odd. I had a conversation with Dan today, the gentleman that I was talking about. 90 people have been displaced out of their apartment, out of their complex, and the building has now been deemed condemned. So they're not allowed to go into that building, not allowed to go in and get their possessions. There's a lot of people that are on assistance that don't have any other choice, that may be homeless right now. So it's trying to raise some awareness, to the people of that area. And I reached out to Dan because I heard him on local radio talking about this situation. I wanted to give him another platform. So hopefully, or maybe he's watching this evening. So, excuse me, I'm very nasally right now. So this afternoon, actually this morning, I reached out to him via text. He said, call me around 3 o'clock. I called him around 3 o'clock and I asked him if he wanted to come on the podcast on Sunday. And he said, I would love to do that. And we started to discuss, and he kind of just wanted to know a little bit about me and my agenda in this whole thing. And I told him, I want to open up my platform if you want to use it to get a voice out there. And he's being very, I get it, very cautious, needs to be very cautious because of any potential lawsuits down the line. So we're kind of maybe 10 minutes into the conversation, and he says, I gotta go. My work is calling me. I have to take this call. And I was like, okay, I understand that. And he's like, I'll call you back. I never heard back from him. So if you get tied up on that phone call, he got busy. I understand he's going through a lot right now. But I just want to let Daniel know, or Dan, he said Dan, I want to let him know, if you are watching, my platform is still open to you. I would love to get your story out there, get some eyes on the community there, to get that community some help. Obviously, the local government, the mayors, the governor are not helping. He did said there are some things in motion, but there needs to be more eyes and ears on that. So, Dan, if you're watching, my platform is still open. Reach out to me. We'll make some arrangements. If you'd like to come on LTL, we'll make that happen. So anyway, let's get into the meat of the bones of the show here. I'm going to pull up this first. So I did a Google search, and I wanted to know specifically when they think the fires actually started. Okay, so fires here, Wikipedia, August 8th. The most significant fire of the complex of events began from a brush fire ignited in West Maui near the town of Lahaina on the morning of August 8th. During the early morning hours of August 8th, significant straight line winds began to impact the town of Lahaina. So August 8th, keep that in your head, that date in your head. So we had the fires. And what I'm going to do here is first show kind of a recap of what happened in that area, a timeline. Let's see. Okay, so we have this hour by hour video. This is provided by ABC News. Let's do a little bit of review and go from there.
This was the seaside town of Lahaina. And this is what it looked like after it was reduced to ash. In August 2023, this historical town in Hawaii was overrun by a wildfire that would soon be known as the deadliest in 100 years of modern U.S. history. The first warnings came days before the fires erupted. So how and why did so many perish? It's 10:47 p.m. on Monday, August 7th, in a region locally known in Maui as Upcountry. A security camera at the Maui Bird Conservation Center captures this.
It's windy, and then there's a flash, and I think that's when a tree's falling on a power line. The power goes out, our generator kicks in, the camera comes back online, and then the forest is on fire.
This is the first wildfire reported to the public by Maui officials. It would later be known as the Upcountry Maui Wildfire.
We've got 10 sensors in that community that show a very sharp drop in electrical voltage at precisely that same time.
This is Bob Marshall. He runs a company called Whisker Labs. They provide in-home sensors designed to help prevent electrical fires. And those in-home sensors form a network that monitors the electric utility grids across the U.S. And they say they detected signals on Hawaiian Electric's grid before this fire started. The National Weather Service has been warning for days that the combination of high winds and dry conditions could cause damage and increase the threat of fires.
We've got video evidence now of, I think literally it's the first fire that started on Maui.
Marshall says this bright light is called an arc flash. He tells us it can happen when a power line faults, meaning it's come in contact with something it shouldn't, like a tree or another power line. Shortly after midnight on August 8th, local authorities say a brush fire is reported in the area of the Bird Conservation Center. Residents are evacuated. That same evening, miles away in Lahaina, Marshall says their sensors also start picking up stress signals in that community.
What our network shows and what we know is that the grid was incredibly stressed Monday night and throughout the day on Tuesday. So, it was trying to deal with the winds that it was encountering.
It's now around 5 a.m. local time on August 8th. Hawaiian Electric reports one of the first power outages in Lahaina. They say it's impacting at least 1,000 customers. 6:37 a.m., authorities say the first brush fire in Lahaina is reported. At 6:39 a.m., Whisker Labs say they stop receiving any data from their sensors in Lahaina. It's 6:40 a.m. on Lahaina Luna Road. Resident Shane True is live on Facebook.
Oh, this is live right across the street from my house. Freaking power line just went down. See them right there. That's the power line that started from up the road there. And all of that is still burning.
Lahaina Intermediate School is just up the road. It's one of 4 West Maui campuses closed due to heavy winds. At around 9 a.m., the Maui Fire Department declares the Lahaina brush fire 100% contained. They add that power outages are impacting water pumps and ask residents to conserve water. At around the same time, Kimberly Papadis is trying to get out of Lahaina. She's headed north. She captures a long line of vehicles lined up on Hawaii Route 30, heading toward town. 9:30 a.m. The wind is strong and picking up.
Head northeast on Dickinson Street toward Mill Street.
At this time, Hawaiian Electric says several power lines are still down across West Maui. Thousands are without power. It would get worse.
Wow. What can push a trailer that big?
ABC News reviewed several videos showing the strength of the wind gusts that continue to batter the island over the next hours. 2:30 p.m.
See how long this pole is going to hang.
Local farmer Eddie Garcia is surveying wind damage near his farm stand.
Nice gust right there. That might do it.
It's 3:30 p.m. The Lahaina fire flares up again. Maui County officials will later say. Jill Perkins is at home on Mill Street. She records this video. It will take over an hour for officials to announce the flare-up online. 3:41 p.m. Resident Joe Schilling sends this text message to a friend. He lives here, in this senior housing site on Lahaina Luna Road. His friend and family tells ABC News they believe he had every intention to evacuate earlier, but realized other older residents weren't able to escape. Between 3:51 p.m. and 3:54 p.m., Schilling tells his friend via text that he's in a unit with 6 others. They're trapped, and breathing is becoming more difficult. 3:57 p.m., he sends his friend these 2 images. A house nearby is on fire, and thickening smoke is surrounding them. 4:06 p.m.
Now, keep in mind, anytime in a fire, and I'm sure you're all smart with this too, it's usually the fire that doesn't kill everybody. It's the smoke. It's the smoke inhalation. And that's with a lot of home fires. That's why people don't get out, because they're overwhelmed by smoke and they can't get out. And then they can't breathe. So once your lungs fill with smoke, that's it. And I've been in wooded areas where there's smoke, and that it'll get you. That smoke will stay with you.
Schilling tells his friend cars are exploding on the road. His family tells ABC News these messages were the last anyone has heard from him.
That's where I was going. That's coming. Let's go. I better jump the freeway here.
4:20 p.m. Jill Perkins and her husband are now in their car. They watch as flames engulf their home.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of older people
4:45
that live
p.m.
there
They're
too.
stuck on Hawaii Route 30 with dozens of others trying to head out. They would eventually make it out safely.
Yeah, this is quite the experience.
5:02 p.m. Denny Euchert and many others are at a standstill on Front Street as they try to get out of town. The fire is closing in.
If I make it, it will be a good thing.
It's like Lahaina is on fire.
Just 2 blocks away, Marjorie St. Clair is driving away from her home, trying to find a way out of Lahaina. She manages to escape by avoiding Front Street.
Jesus,
By
man.
5:33
Look at
p.m.,
this.
others like Noah Tomlinson, who say they've been waiting hours in traffic,
Jesus
escape the
Christ.
flames by jumping into the ocean.
And these people.
Both sides to the left and the right are on fire.
5:36 p.m. Bosco Bay is trying to
And you
leave
got to keep in mind, too, even though that water may be warm, you can still get hypothermia just sitting in that water like that. You know, it's like bath water. So, you know, with all that wind blowing, you can get cold. You know, you can still get cold.
the local coffee shop where he works on Front Street. He's only about a block away from Noah's vantage point. Around 5:45 p.m., the Coast Guard says it begins receiving reports of people in the water needing rescue.
Jesus Christ.
They later say they rescued 17 survivors, including 2 children, from the water. 5:52 p.m. Bosco takes this last video of buildings ablaze before getting in his car. He manages to drive inland rather than onto Front Street.
Fire is so dangerous.
5:59 p.m. Denny, only a block away from Bosco, has now left
Jeez,
his
man.
car.
Look at these
He's
people.
taken 5 steps across the road and down onto the rocks of the harbor. Dozens are sheltering from the blazing embers. Denny later tells ABC News he waited about 5
It's
hours
like hell on earth.
before being rescued, 3 of which were
5
in the water.
hours.
Officials say many died in their cars, unable to get out, trapped by the flames.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh, look at the harbor.
It's 7:22 a.m. on August 9th. Richard Olson, owner and
the
operator of a
smoke.
helicopter tour company, flies over West Maui.
Unbelievable.
Look at the smoke.
This looks like Baghdad or something.
Hawaii Governor Josh Green would later say that wind gusts clocking in as high as 81 miles per hour contributed to the rapid spread of the fire. He added that the fire traveled 1 mile a minute and temperatures rose to 1,000 degrees. The extent of the devastation is still being gathered and processed. As of August 18th, more than 100 people have perished in the Lahaina wildfire, making it the 5th deadliest in modern U.S. history.
Jesus. As an excellent timeline by ABC News. They did a really great job on that, whoever created that and put that together. So excellent job, just straight to it, straight to the facts of what happened that day, and just gives us an idea of what, you know, those citizens had to go through there. It's just horrifying, and it's very, very scary. You know, fire will kill you in an instant. It's just, it's crazy. Okay, so we talked about August 8th being kind of the official day that started. And again, we're going to get into some things here that may piss some people off. Look, I'm sorry. I'm just going to show the way things are right now. And I said at the very, very beginning of this podcast, if you came in, I would be critical of any president that at this time, during this juncture of what's going on. So I'd be critical of any president. So we had August 8th when the fire started, and I just want to talk about this. This is on August 10th. August 10th. So August 8th, the fire started. So as the fires are still essentially burning, Biden seeks nearly $40 billion in funding for Ukraine, disaster relief, and border, while the White House is seeking $12 billion for ongoing disaster relief, $60 million in wildland fire pay to cover pay increases of $3.9 billion to address border and migration issues. Biden request also seeks over $24 billion in additional funding for Ukraine's slow-moving fight against Russia. In nearly 18 months since Russian troops poured over Ukraine borders, the U.S. has unleashed a war chest worth more of $43 billion to bolster Kiev arsenal. So this is August 10th. August 10th. I think whatever political side that you are on, I think whatever political side you are on, I think you should be angry at any president that would seek that during this time. So we had the 40 billion. And to be fair, I'm just going to pull up this article because I want to just show all sides of it. So we'll be fair in this case. So this was an article from August 18th. It says FEMA has paid Maui fire survivors $4 million so far in overall damages in the area, could top to $3 billion. So again, what was the number? 40 billion to Ukraine, but only 4 million had been paid at that point. I'm not going to go too much into the article. I just want to read the headlines. So you have that. And we had another update on August 30th. So August 30th, Biden pledges $95 million to help Maui recover from wildfires. Yeah, $95 million, but it's not a billion. You know, it's not billions of dollars. You know, it's not the 40 billion that was sent to Ukraine. So this is August 30th. So I'm just being fair on all sides, just showing what's out there, what I found. And then we had the president come in and he did a little visit. He did a little visit to Maui. And this is what he had to say during one of his speeches.
There's a guy who was
very
in
tone
Washington
deaf.
doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday. And lightning struck at home on a little lake. It's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond. And hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat.
Tone deaf. I mean, you even had the left striking out, saying that it's not handled well, hasn't been handled well. And sorry, I'm just queuing up a video here. Let's play this from the Hill.
We've got another stupendous show for you today. Hello, Brianna.
Hello, Robbie.
What's happening? What's shaking?
All right, well, we have an update on Maui. After touching down in Maui yesterday, the president and first lady were met with some anger by some residents who say the current administration is abandoning the victims of the island's deadly wildfires. A group of protesters posted up across from the airport shouting expletives at Biden's motorcade shortly after his arrival. And another resident on the island displayed a sign on their lawn saying, quote, "Trader Joe must go." The president kept his visit short. After attending a few fire-stricken sites and paying his respects to victims during a ceremony, he and the First Lady returned to Air Force One. They then flew to Lake Tahoe to finish their vacation. The host of Morning Joe defended the president after video appeared to show him falling asleep during yesterday's
He
short
did fall
event.
asleep.
Let's watch.
Let's call it what it is.
It's the same thing with this Joe Biden and his sleeping deal. You actually look at the longer video. He coughs. He bows his head like the woman next to him. He takes like 4 deep breaths, like he's trying to catch his breath. We don't know why. Maybe he was moved. And then he's like nodding, looks up. And yet the screaming the headlines is Biden's sleeping, Biden's sleeping, Biden's sleeping. And he coughs. And now look at this. Okay, goes down. He's been traveling a lot. Look at this. He takes 1, 2, catching his breath.
What it is.
By the way, the lady next to him several times, head bowed too, was very moving. And he's listening to the speaker. He goes, yes. He raises his head. Oh my God, it's the end of the world as we know it. The only thing, Willie, the only thing that we can thank God for is that Joe Biden was not wearing a tan suit, because then we've been a total meltdown on the far right. But I will tell you, the people of Maui And again, read the local coverage. Don't listen to the lies on Trumpy outlets. Read the local coverage. All incredibly positive.
Wearing a tan suit or perhaps even riding a bicycle. Even worse, Joe. That could have been big news as well.
Yeah.
If you're watching this morning and you have no idea what we're talking about, it's because you live in the rational world.
Don't let these lefties fool you, because I'm going to play a council meeting here in a couple of minutes so you can really hear how the residents of Lahaina feel right now. So don't let these people trick you, because I'm going to play from a council meeting how they feel. Okay? We're going to get to that.
World where this was an insignificant moment, not a controversial one anyway.
Hello from the irrational world.
Yeah,
Robbie,
they were
again.
big mad about this. Look, maybe we should have been a little bit more careful. It's not totally verified, I guess, that he fell asleep. He looked pretty out of it to me.
But wait a minute. To me, the claim wasn't, I know for a fact he was in the middle of a REM cycle. The claim was his eyes were closed and his head was nodding during the remarks. And I'm sorry, I don't know if that video was supposed to be exculpatory. That's exactly the video that we all showed. I didn't feel like the lengthier time frame of it added anything to my perception of what happened, which is that it looked like he nodded off.
Kind of looks like he's doing that. Have you ever been at a conference or the worst is driving when you're like...
Well, no, I don't. I don't drive. Wow. But yes, I've been in class, meaning an 8 a.m. class where I've done that thing, which
I can't imagine you particularly awake for an 8 a.m. class.
my morning show co-host knows that I'm not a morning person.
but no, they were really mad at us in particular. There's this NBC News article about this. So that's MSNBC. Twitter X didn't immediately respond to an email request for comment about the Hannity video. They're claiming there's like a lower quality video that was shown by, and Fox News, on which Hannity has a show, also didn't immediately respond to a request. Several videos on YouTube used the lower resolution video to allege that Biden fell asleep. One from Tim Pool had 116,000 views. Another from The Hill, that's us, had 118,000 views. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. And a third from a self-described motorcycle enthusiast had 3,000 views. YouTube, and then this goes on. YouTube bans misleading content if it has been technically manipulated or doctored in a way that misleads users and may pose a serious risk of egregious harm. YouTube didn't immediately respond to an email request for comment. You see what they're trying to do there? Yeah, they're trying to get us banned.
Okay, but this is what I don't get it, Robbie. I didn't know that there were two different qualities of video. When I watched that video from the...
I'm going to bounce out of this because they're just basically going to talk about the video. I want to get back into a little bit more of going on. Again, from The Hill. This is from The Hill. I'm trying to show all
during a press briefing about the Maui wildfires recovery effort, President Biden once again recounted a story about his 2004 house fire.
I didn't know anything like that, but lightning struck my house. We had to be out of that house for about 7 months. It was repaired because so much damage was done to the house, and half the house almost collapsed.
While visiting the FEMA headquarters yesterday to thank emergency personnel who helped in the response to the Maui wildfires and Florida, Biden announced he will travel to Florida tomorrow morning, days after Hurricane Idalia hit Western Florida. However, the visit may do little to take attention away from the federal government's Maui response. Here's a scene from the White House press briefing room earlier this week.
Given the cost of living in Hawaii, specifically in the Lahaina community, is anything being done right now? Are there considerations or efforts being made to try to raise that cap, that $700 figure for those who are there?
Yeah, the $700 figure of critical needs assistance is really just that amount of funding for some of the very immediate needs.
So to let you know, $700 relief, right? Do you know how many residents or how many homes are on Maui right now? Well, pre-fire, it was underestimated of 77,000 homes, households on Maui. So let's just say 77,000. Let's just say all those homes were affected, which they're probably going to get the relief anyway. One-time payment. Do you know how much that would equal up to? $54 million. You know how much money was sent to Ukraine on the 10th? $40 billion. So put that in perspective too.
that individuals have. Every year, the main part of our assistance, which is our individual and household program, adjusts annually based on inflation. This year, it's $41,000 of a cap that individuals can get. That will get raised after the fiscal year. I don't know what that number is yet, but we do adjust that main portion of the funding that goes to individuals annually based on inflation.
Later, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre again faced another grilling by Ducey.
Okay, and
Cringe.
it seems like the hurricane response so far is robust. Did you guys realize that the initial Hawaii wildfire response was not that good? Or is it just easier for people to get help from the White House when the president is not on vacation?
So the premise of your question and the way you posed your question, I disagree, just for the record. So if you were to do your reporting and speak to the governor of Hawaii, the senators of Hawaii, the folks on the ground, they would say that the president reacted in record time when it came to dealing with the wildfires, when it came to dealing and making sure that they got everything that they need on the federal level to deal with what was
I
going on.
just don't know why they
Let's
lie.
not forget,
They
there
lie.
were more than
We're going to hear
600,
from citizens in a little bit here.
federal employees on the
She's
ground
lying.
already to
She's
assist.
lying to the press. She's lying to the American people. We're going to hear straight from the citizens of Lahaina to hear about the response, to hear about the things that are going on down there. So they are lying.
With the wildfires in Maui. So your question is wrong, it's flawed in many, many ways.
Yeah, so Ducey always asks tough questions. I don't know that I necessarily disagree with him putting pressure on the White House for doing more for the folks in Maui. I will say I understand it's the governor's job to request the federal aid, and I think the governor did a really bad job in Hawaii in asking for the aid. Josh Green should have been a little bit more proactive. The folks responsible for sounding the alarm should have been more proactive. We know they stepped down. But I also think the Biden administration, it's a cop-out for them to say we've maxed out the amount of aid we can give with that $700. We know there are many sources for federal aid, especially in the case of emergencies. For example, you can get millions of dollars from HUD. In fact, it was just about
You can send $40 billion to Ukraine on the 10th. The fire started on the 8th. $40 billion to Ukraine. It's bullshit.
30% of the recovery funds and response funds for Sandy that came from FEMA. So it's just such a cop-out to say we've given the max we can give right now with that $700.
We know it is.
They can call on Congress to authorize more aid to Hawaii.
Sure.
There's
Why
a lot
not
of
send
things
$40
they
billion
can
to
do.
Ukraine?
And so while the question didn't take into consideration the whole picture, when you still take into consideration the whole picture, the Biden admin could be doing a lot more to help with the recovery and rebuilding of Hawaii.
I think it's a cop-out, too, to say, oh, well, go talk to the governor, go talk to the senators who, again, were partially responsible for the horrible response to this. Of course, they're not going to turn around and criticize President Joe Biden, but there have been tons of reporters in Maui who are actually speaking to people on the ground, actual citizens there, and they're not happy with how the government has been treating them. And even just outside of the federal official response in terms of the emergency response, Joe Biden, when he was first asked about this wildfire, was vacationing on a beach in Rehoboth and said he gave a flippant no comment, like he didn't even care to offer sympathy to the people who had lost everything, including their lives. Then on his way to Hawaii, he decided to make a stopover at a billionaire's house in Lake Tahoe, where the White House insists that he's paying market rent, which I'm sure nobody believes. It's a house of Democrat billionaire donor Tom Steyer, who previously ran for president. So he stops there at this huge mansion, then goes over to Maui, kind of bumbles around the island for a day, and then goes right back to his vacation. So it's not even just the amount of money that's given or the amount of aid, but even just the fact that he couldn't muster up a little more sympathy, a little bit more leadership in a time where the American people really needed it.
I would like to imagine that the Biden administration is in such dire straits that they needed to stop over at Tom Steyer's house for some messaging advice on how to handle the whole disaster, that they're that desperate, that's why they're at Steyer's house. We know how his political campaign went. And we also know how Hawaii is going. For Biden to bring up a small fire when asked about what went down in Hawaii, which we know was the culmination of many decades, if not centuries, of mismanagement of land and resources on the island. It's just ridiculous to say that that's some source of empathy for him or sympathy for him. It's absurd. There's a lot more the federal government can be doing right now. And I think it's dangerous when we get into a place, and I've seen a lot of Democrats do this, defending Biden, saying to leftists who are calling for more aid that it's a right-wing talking point to say that $700 is not enough and he did all he could by giving that $700. No, absolutely not. There's a million things more he could be doing. He could have visited earlier. He could have decided, all right, vacation ends here. It turns out there's a disaster in the country that I am the leader of. Like, we are giving him so much slack, Democrats especially. And when you think about the kind of country you want to live in, a lot of Democrats say they're very compassionate. They believe in, good disaster response, taking care of people, etc. And they would hold someone like George Bush accountable for disaster response failures, but not Joe Biden. I really think we need to have a higher standard for someone who's in the highest public office.
Now, keep in mind, you're listening to the left. These are left-wing talking points. They're pissed off at Biden.
Much more easily access emergency funds than anyone else in the country, than Congress, than the governors and the folks there in Hawaii. He can mobilize resources a lot faster. And by saying, well, we need Congress to authorize that money, we absolutely don't. It's been done before in the past in other responses to hurricanes like Sandy. And so it's just an absolute just mismanagement of our political rhetoric to say, oh, we're making excuses for Joe Biden. He was justified in only authorizing that amount of money because technically it's all he can. He was on vacation. There is so much more he could do, and we should just have a higher standard for those serving in public office.
Yeah, and on a more local level, in addition to the decades of land mismanagement that you mentioned, there is also just blatant incompetence within the Hawaii government and the emergency response. You had two completely unqualified individuals running the emergency response system, and then another individual who was in charge of getting water to these folks as the wildfires broke out. He apparently delayed doing so. He's previously said that water needs to be equitable, whatever that means. If that means withholding it from people who are in the midst of a wildfire because farmers need it, that seems like a pretty ridiculous explanation. So I think there needs to be some kind of investigation into how these people got appointed and how I believe the water management expert supposedly is still in his role. The other individual who was in charge of emergency response resigned supposedly for health reasons. So I guess he still gets to collect his pension or whatever as the people of Maui suffer. And then on this question of Biden's house fire that he keeps bringing up in response to this, he's not only displaying this fake sense of empathy, but he's also lying about the circumstances of the fire. It turns out that it was a small kitchen fire that was put out in about 20 minutes. Yet he's claimed in various stories throughout the years that firefighters almost died fighting the fire, that he almost lost his wife and his Camaro, and that his house practically burned down. This complete escalation and exaggeration of what actually happened. And this seems to be a common theme for Joe Biden. The media constantly painted him as the so-called empath in chief. They said that he was going to be the nation's therapist. And then he gets in office and he goes and talks to Gold Star families who lost their kids during that suicide bombing in Kabul. And his response to them is to say that he also brought his son, Beau Biden, home in a flag-draped casket, which is an abject lie. His son died of brain cancer years later. Still tragic, obviously, but not at all comparable to what these families went through. Some of the individuals from Afghanistan, from the Kabul airport who were injured in that suicide blast also say that the first thing that he said to them was to bring up Beau Biden as opposed to asking them how they're doing or offering them some assistance. So there's this common theme over and over again where the president tries to make other people's grief and struggles about himself, and it comes across as so tone deaf. And I just feel when people are grieving, the last thing they want to hear is, I understand what you're going through, or I know what you're going through. And the fact that no one on Joe Biden's team has steered him away from that response yet is an abject failure on their part, too.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. It's especially egregious in cases of grief, of Joe Biden trying to say, I have a story that is exactly the same as yours. Joe Biden, on a regular basis, tells stories to the American public like a parent telling a fairy tale to their child before they go to sleep. They come up with new details, new embellishments based on the reaction of their child. Joe Biden does the same thing when he's giving a speech in the US. If he's getting a bigger reaction, he's going to keep embellishing the story. It's absolutely absurd. I think in the case of Hawaii and the fires, we're left in a worse scenario because of the lack of messaging and response from the Biden administration. There is a very popular conspiracy theory on the internet that the wealthy folks who have bought a lot of property on Maui have all painted their rooftops blue. And that's something that's very common with people who have homes in tropical climates. But the conspiracy is that they've done this because there are these electromagnetic lasers, and that is actually what caused the fire. And the blue is immune to the lasers. Now,
let's not go
the
there.
fact that people are so skeptical of the elites in this country that they will take to this theory, and it's so popular on the internet because it's getting clicks and it's getting traction, because it is believable, because people are that skeptical of the elites in the United States of America. Now, there's something at the heart of this. Definitely don't believe in this conspiracy theory, but why is it the case that the billionaires in our country are able to buy up property and land on Maui
We're gonna
when
get into
locals
that.
are struggling to just have clean water? Right? That's the real problem.
We're gonna get
Why
into
is
that.
the land so dry and so poorly managed that it burns so easily when there is a spark? That is the real conspiracy. And it's because Hawaii, as specifically Maui, has been decimated by corporate farming, the short-term incentives of multinational corporations coming in with these cash crops like sugar, turning Hawaii into a place to pump out these low-cost crops for the local economy so that they can go and make money off of the island overseas. And they've really pushed out the locals. And then the parts of Hawaii that are very beautiful and nice to live on, we have people like Oprah Winfrey having their vacation homes there. That's the real conspiracy.
True.
We know who we should be mad at. It's very obvious to me. And so I think moving forward in the case of Hawaii, we have to pay very close attention that we don't repeat history there. And it's not BlackRock going in and buying the land because it's cheap and developing it and selling it for short-term gains over the next 10 to 15 years. We have to ensure that the recovery is relevant to the folks who live on the island. And if we see folks in public office just ignoring what's going on in Hawaii, they're going to end up worse off than they even were before the blaze.
This happens a lot in the Midwest, too, where these large corporate agricultural firms are given massive government subsidies to put in these cash crops. And then the government pays them not to farm in the future so that the land can allegedly regrow. But it actually ends up drying out the soil and leading to all kinds of environmental disaster. We'll be back with more Rising after this.
All right, here we go. Let's hear from the locals on the ground. Let's start hearing what they have to say. Let's hear what they have to say. Let's look at the locals on the ground. Let me get this video up. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of queue here. Little out of queue. Where's my thing? Right here. Let's hear from the locals. Here we go. You're a disaster. Maui residents confronts Mayor Bison at press conference in Lahaina. Let's hear it.
Bison checked in on West Maui residents this afternoon and helped deliver food at the Lahaina Gateway distribution site. The mayor also held a media availability, and things got heated when one resident
what they're telling you in the White House during those White House press conferences. Don't believe it. Let's hear from the locals.
Has the process slowed down, and also all the names that have been announced so far have been elderly. Are there children that have been found, and is there any hesitance to announce that, because that'll obviously just be a different level of heartbreak?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. How many children are missing? You know.
If I knew the answer to that, I would be happy to answer that.
You have no estimate as to how many children are missing?
I guess we can end this right now if you guys want. Sorry,
This is one of the biggest questions that the people of Lahaina have, but you don't want to answer.
It always takes one or two to ruin it for everybody. Please.
Well, we could say that about you. You ruined it for everyone.
You're welcome to say it. You're the media. You can say whatever you want.
You're a disaster.
All right. Okay. Please.
You've been the worst mayor we could possibly imagine.
You won't even wait.
Respect what? This is the most dismal response we've ever had.
You won't wait for your turn. You want to shout over these guys that are legit.
Why don't you give them the real answers then? Give them the real answers.
That's not his question.
Let him.
Yeah. You can go. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Some residents frustrated, and it's an emotional time with all the devastation and deaths.
All right, let's go to the locals. Let's see what they have to say. And I have to say, I like Tulsi Gabbard a lot. I don't really, some of her politics are really wacky, but she served our country, and I would love for her to run. She is a Democrat, but if I had to choose, if she was in a race with maybe a Republican that I didn't like, I definitely would vote for Tulsi. Let's hear what the residents have to say.
Didn't, fortunately, and he's using it as a hub, and they have probably the most supplies of anyone, like generators. I think these guys are the most well equipped. Yeah, Roman. So yeah,
they're also the closest to where the fires were. So
yeah, got all our waters out here. The coach, so we set up shower stalls over there with generator and pump. Trying to keep the gasoline separate from all the rest of everything. Yeah, for sure. Fire and all that. Just kind of like
they come and they say everyone needed.
We try to do rounds and go to people's houses and ask what they need first, just to keep in here less cluttered.
And how many families are in the area?
102 homes, two burned out of the 104 in this. Yeah. And so the last count we had of people still here was 2 days ago. I think it was 160 people. So we do dinner night at 5 p.m. And then last night
I'd like her to run. I like her a lot. She served our country. She's strong. She managed government well when she was there, and she was a leader.
Oh wow.
This is like we just keep access back here kind of
Completely agree.
This is awesome. Here's if you want to see how close the fire. Oh wow. Oh my god. So the neighbors actually fought it with eight garden hoses.
Wow.
The donations and the support has been pretty unwavering.
It's pretty overwhelming at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
The majority are from islands that completely have nothing. Like Molokai has been incredible.
Yeah,
and everyday shipments nonstop.
Yeah.
So this is 4 or 5 local fishing boats right now coming in from Molokai, other side of Maui, other islands. And we have a little channel between the reef here. That's why there's a little family boat ramp. And this has been a huge hub for us for getting supplies on boats. So like you can see right now, they have a full system. Everyone chains together. They'll pass supplies up.
Amazing.
Look at this
amazing work.
So I think
Oh,
now we're at
look
the
at
stage
this.
that we're specifically asking for.
I look at things like this, and I wish that, I know that we have our issues in this country. There's a lot of things that could change. There's a lot of things that we could look at differently, but we always know, no matter what, if you're in a disaster, an issue like this, no matter what color you are, what sex you are, what creed you are, what religion you are, people work together. And I think a strong resemblance of that was during 9/11. And I feel like we haven't had that sense of community, that sense of country, since that horrible, tragic event, for a very long time after that, for many, many years after that. We're very pro-American, very pro-American. There's nothing wrong with that, to be proud of your country wherever you live. You know, I live in America. I love America. I was born here in America. And you should be very proud of your country. But we hear a lot of anti-American statements now, you know, around the world, and even in our own country. And it's horrible. It's horrible. But this here, right now, what you're looking at, this is America. This is what America is about. This is what Americans are about, helping each other. And you're seeing many people here of all races, creeds, background, helping together to try to solve this problem, to help people. And I just wish that we could do that a little bit more than what the media tries to do to us, tries to constantly divide us, what this government is now doing to us. You know, and a lot of this started back in early 2000, the division in our country. But I don't really think it's a lot of the people. It's what the government is doing to our people, this divide. It's almost like they want to do it on purpose, like they want us to pit against and kill each other. They want us to just eat each other alive. But I'm so proud to see things like this when just people can help, you know, when they can just join together and help and just put things aside for a moment.
For specific items.
Right.
So we have a count of how much propane tanks we have for the community that we're serving.
Right.
We also have a decent amount of gas.
Right.
And also we have a certain amount of diesel that we
This
have.
is all the
We're trying to
diesel we
make
got
sure.
right here.
Oh my gosh.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Is there resources on island for this? And it's a
We
matter of
are
getting it
out of
here, or-
we are out of diesel tanks.
I think one thing we've been asking for too is cots and
Cots.
pop-up tents. Because one issue, especially right here, the houses didn't burn, but if you go inside the houses, they're covered with dust and ash. And so, like, again, that's all the toxic stuff. So everybody's houses needs a deep cleaning, you know.
Right.
Should be like wearing respirators if you go in the house.
Do you guys have respirators?
We need respirators.
We N95. We have a very limited supply of that.
The goal from our Po'o Archie Kalepa was to set this up as a one-stop shop for the whole community. If you have a chance to come down here, please come and give us a list of stuff that you need. If you have keiki at home, we have enough supplies that we can supply that.
Yeah.
Just give us what you need, and then we'll run your shopping list. And ideally, we have shelves over here with everything sorted and pretty much shopping like you're going to Costco.
Yeah.
But it's Kanaka owned and operated. That's the best part of it. A lot of those things. So, for example, like safe and security, pretty much like we have safety officers that has they're pretty much it's going to be implemented tonight.
Okay.
So all the procedures and protocols when it comes to welfare checks to our elderly and people. So a lot of these guys that are ahead in charge of those are pretty much homegrown here.
You know, this is what's happening. You know, no one's coming to help these people. They have to police all this themselves. It's just crazy. It's mind-blowing. I cannot believe this is going on. But it's great that you have these individuals that step up as community leaders and get all this together to help their community. But there should be more help here.
Yeah, I told her each street has their alaka'i and they run their crew.
And that's the best part, that these guys are really willing to provide and care for their elders in keiki.
Yeah.
So it is vital that they run it. And it's because
What are some of the things that you're, like the protocols that you're
so pretty much
implementing?
like at nighttime we run a 3-watch system, 4-hour watch.
Okay.
So there's always a buddy system. There's always people making sure that, because there are people that are coming in and out that are not from here, just breaking into other people's safe spaces.
Yeah.
There's enough, I would say, resources here that we can give.
Yeah.
And because everybody has their own right to bear arms, and that's the worst thing that we could get into is somebody getting seriously hurt by defending their home. So the goal is now we're not policing the community, we're serving our community.
Wow. Whew. Really, really touching stuff. Okay, let's hear from more of the community. And this resident here of Lahaina, her name is Christine Borg. And I'm not sure if you've heard from her, but I think what she had to say here was very, very telling and very honest. And that's why I say, when the government is saying that everything is okay down there, when these news organizations are getting on TV and saying, oh, everybody's happy, it's fine, everything is good, really listen to the communities. This is a council meeting. This was recorded. And let's play this Christine Borg.
I guess you could say I'm a kapuna. I'm 61. I was living on 1A Street when it happened. I walked away with nothing except my dog. And I've been part of the human experiment ever since. First we were in Maui prep. They passed out toilet paper because they wouldn't let us use the bathroom. I guess we look like leprosy people to them in our dark skin. Then we went to Baldwin High. Now I'm at Royal Lahaina. We need help because we're being told by people from the mainland who are culturally insensitive to fill out papers that will give the America, which I am a forced American. I'm not a proud American. I am forced to be American in Hawaii. You're telling us to fill out this paperwork so that you can give us the least amount of money. All I've had since day one is $700. FEMA is fighting with SBA. I walked out yesterday because I'm hearing conflicting stories of what paper I should fill out. We need meetings in Lahaina. So many people, my employees, they're of Filipino ancestry, they're Filipino. They don't know how to fill these papers out. 4 out of 5 of us lost our homes. It was burned to the ground. We are only being told, stand in this line, sign here. What are we signing? Who is it benefiting, us or America? That's what I want to know. And I want to know when we get to go back to our home in Waianae. Maybe it's gone, but for reasons that I don't want to discuss, we need to go back there. Are you guys going to just scrape it all away and say disaster zone? And America's going to get what they want, their satellite city? Because this was planned years ago. It's now happening. And all the poor people, the homeless, the hardworking people of the hotels, the kapuna, we lost everything. So you could have your satellite city. This isn't fair.
Now, when she's talking about the celebrities. She's talking about the celebrities. That's what she's talking about. Bill Gates, Oprah, The Rock, Jeff Bezos. That's what she's talking about. The people that wanted the satellite city. And did you hear her? This has been going on for years. This is a resident of Maui, of Lahaina. She's speaking the truth. So when you hear these things that everything is okay there, the White House says, "Oh, everything is okay." You hear these news stations, everything is okay there. This is a citizen from there. They're speaking from the heart. They're telling the truth.
I feel like I was used. I feel like crap on the ground. This is not right, and we should not be treated this way. We're in a hotel, and we have no communication. I cannot watch the news. I don't know what's going on. I just happened to see on Facebook there's a meeting here. We couldn't even have our pastor come in and ask us if we need prayer in the very beginning, but Oprah could come in. Who is she? Who is she? They said, oh, she knows the governor. We didn't need her in there in Bowen High. Get her out. We don't know. We also don't need people like Kaina Shiki telling tourists don't come to Maui. Because some of us, thousands of us, work in the hotel industry. They pay our mortgage. They give us our medical. And the medical, besides the county, is pretty good for somebody old like me. So don't go tell tourists don't come Maui because you're not speaking for us, the working people. You're speaking for yourself. Tourists come. We love you. We have aloha. You have gave us money through your donations. We're not saying don't come. Come, because you will be helping us, the lower people, the grains of sand of Maui is what we are. We're not the ones living up in Laniapoku. Not one of those houses burned. Puamana is still there. Lahaina Shores is still there.
She's talking about all the areas where Oprah lives, and The Rock has a place, and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, all the celebrities. That's what she's talking about.
Everything beyond the Civic Center is there, but the homes where we were working, where we were scraping, where we had less than $1,000 a month to pay for our basic needs of gas and food. We busted our ass, and this is what we get. Nobody called us. Our phones didn't work from 5 in the morning. The fire was not 10 o'clock when I went to work. The fire was still there. There was no water. Tell me if that's coincidence. No water, no warning. And everybody talking about the satellite city before the fire. Lahaina gonna be the first satellite city. Well, hey, Jeff Bezos, you got what you wanted. Oprah, you got what you wanted. And the guy who owns the nut, you got what you wanted. Fuck us all over. That's what happened. We need help in Lahaina. Who's gonna come now and ask us, can I pray for you, Auntie? Thank you. Can I help you with your paperwork? Because all we got so far was $700, and we don't know who to call or anything. It's culturally insensitive in that zone.
I'm right here, right?
Okay. That's a hard one to watch. Let's do this. At the top of the chat, I have a GoFundMe. I'm just going to ask anybody right now, please, if you can help Christine. She's very close to hitting her goal. I did a $25 donation earlier today, and a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I threw another $25, 10 days in there, right here, LTL Podcast. So give her $50. If we can help Christina out, if anybody can be kind and just even $5, $1, anything can help her out. She's so close to her goal. We're at 8,000. She needs $10,000. Let's help her. If anybody can open their heart, open their wallet. I mean, she's living on a gym floor. These people are not getting any help. There's been no response. I mean, for Christ's sake, she's living on a gym floor. So let's try to help her out if we can. Even $5, $10, that's all I'm asking right now. Let's get her to that goal. And we're going to keep revisiting this. We're going to revisit this every couple of podcasts. And we'll keep trying to get some money for her. I'm going to keep the next weeks. Every week, I'm going to donate $25. I'm going to try to get her to that goal. So every week, I'm going to donate $25. But if anybody can help, please drop some money in her account. Let's get her to 10,000. So I've posted the link. She's 61 years old. She has no place to go. So let's try to help her out. And I can't believe that no one there has stepped up. All these people that have this money has not stepped up to help. And the government has not stepped up to help. And these are the people that have been there, lived there their whole life. And like she said, worked in the whole hotel industry so people could come there and visit. I'm going to read this real quick. It says, Aloha, my name is Christine Borg. I'm 61 years old, born and raised in Maui. I rented a home at 635 Waihi Street in Lahaina. All of my belongings and my son's and our van burnt to the ground. I lost everything. I miss my two little fur babies that hid under my bed, my 2-year-old dogs, Lucky and Mushu, and my 2 cats. My son is able to save our senior dog. His dog is still missing. I work at the Maui Marriott Ocean Club assisting the guests because the power was out. 10 hours later, a guest told me Front Street burnt down. My rental was located behind Wharf Cinema Center. I spent my entire life helping others and animals. I love Jesus in my entire heart and soul. It is my strength. Jesus is carrying me through this devastation. This is how we are raised on Maui, to show aloha to people, animals, and all living things. I'm devastated. Please help me and my son. My new home now is a cot at a shelter. Let's help her out, guys, please, if you can. Let's get this woman off a floor, off a cot. So I'm going to drink the link a couple of times here. If you can. You know, I understand times are tough, but anything, $5, $10, if you could, please help her. And we'll revisit this. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for your donation. I know it's times are tough. And I'm going to try to do everything I can to help. And I know this is only one person, and there are many people's stories that are on Maui just like this. But we'll revisit this, and I'll keep opening it back up to try to help. Okay. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. Okay, so with everything that went on, there's been a lot of criticism. There's been a lot of these bastards that have come along, and a lot of what I call land grabs. You know, we heard about BlackRock. Despite prohibition, it would be buyers trying to snap up land burnt in Maui wildfires, and this was on September 2nd. See, what they want to do is they know that these people have nowhere to go, that no one's going to be able to pay for this.
So that it becomes functionally impossible for anyone to, in a predatory way, approach any of our victims and try to buy their house out from under them while they're struggling or suffering.
And what they want to do is buy this land so they can either build multi-million-dollar mansions on it, or more hotels, more resorts, and they'll own that so people can come over so they can make money and push all the locals off the land.
So we enhanced penalties to a year in jail and $5,000 fine if people approach in a predatory way, or they approach anyone unsolicited, which I view as predatory at this point, to sell their property. Let me give a caveat. If I'm an individual that wants to sell and decides they're going to reach out, that doesn't stop them from having that discussion. So if someone swooped in, say, and bought 15 lots because they hope to build a mega house on the beach, they made a big mistake, because when we find out that they took advantage of somebody, there's not going to be approvals for them. We want to build the way that the people of Lahaina want. So the state's not going to make any move or take any initiative to build anything unless it's what is asked for by the community. And that's our approach. So when I said that we'd be willing to buy land, it would just be if it was at the request of the community to protect it from being sold off to the mainland.
God, so bad there. Okay, so let's go on here. Let's see. My next video I have is, I got this one too.
Are defending the decision not to sound sirens during the wildfire's peak. And officials said they were afraid people would have fled inland into the flames. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Hawaii officials say more than 3,000 acres between 3 wildfires have been destroyed on the island of Maui. Now, some residents say they've been receiving calls from wealthy real estate investors and developers who are trying to purchase their fire-ravaged land. But as Lilia Luciano reports, Maui is not for sale.
There's a new worry for Lahaina residents who survived the inferno.
Lahaina is not for sale. I repeat, Lahaina is not for sale.
Hawaii's governor is considering a moratorium on all land transactions in Lahaina to protect locals from opportunistic buyers.
Please don't approach them with an offer to buy land. Please don't approach their families to tell them that they're going to be better off if they make a deal.
Hawaii already has the highest housing cost in the nation, with homeownership out of reach for many residents. On Maui, the average home price is now $1.2 million, while the average income stood at just $88,000. Archie Kalepa, a ninth-generation Lahaina elder, says the recovery must be in the hands of locals and natives.
We're here to hold the line. We are here to hold the lines and get the rest of the state of Hawaii behind us.
That's what Kylie Dindinger and her partner Ray McGorry did when they took in a three-generation family of residents who lost their home in Lahaina.
We were already at a housing crisis. We just want them to stay.
They're also holding the line by expanding their family from 2 to 6.
Ohana.
What does that mean?
Family. It's a Hawaiian word for family.
And Lilia joins us now from Kula, which is on the island of Maui. Lilia, you touched on this briefly in your reporting, but what is the Hawaiian government trying to do right now to protect the land devastated by wildfires from wealthy investors and realtors?
That is such a big question, Jerika, because, I mean, as we heard, the governor is saying that they're considering a moratorium on any land transaction. There are laws in place in Hawaii that protect the land from precisely those threats. But as we know, Maui has been home to very, wealthy people, investors. I mean, it's been in the news that throughout Hawaii, there's been all these concerns from very powerful people like Mark Zuckerberg, or the CEO of Oracle, who owns almost an entire island. And as you know, being Puerto Rican, I have covered extensively the similar concerns in Puerto Rico because of tax incentives that are given. So it's not just the concern over the possible immediate predatory offers that are given to people or that are feared to be given to people. The concerns go far and well beyond. So we talked to an elder, to a local community leader who's a ninth generation, as you heard Archie there, ninth generation Lahanian, and he was telling us, look, even the aid that is coming in, we are very skeptical of what we are accepting, because sometimes they say we fear that the deals that are done with the best intentions have some other meaning under the table. Of course, this is all speculative. It's hard to know exactly, who is being offered what, but I did talk to a native who was telling me she has a gorgeous piece of land, a beautiful home that burned entirely to the ground. We talked to her earlier this week, to her and her granddaughter, and she says, I can't tell you how many realtors are constantly coming here, leaving brochures, trying to buy this land. And like we heard in the piece, she's one of those who say the land is not for sale. For people from Lahaina and throughout Maui, I mean, their connection, the natives' connection to the land isn't just cultural or historic. It truly is spiritual. Lahaina was the capital of the Hawaiian kingdom. It was the land of all three Kamehameha kings. So it holds the burial grounds that are sacred to the Hawaiian people of kings and ancestors. So that's why, when it comes to their need to stay, to protect the land, to being gentrified out or permanently displaced, whether it is because of a disaster or because of the cost of living, it hurts them deeply.
Yeah, and to know the cost of living is so much higher in Hawaii than any other place when you compare it to the U.S. and how hard they work to keep that land, as you said, it is clearly a major concern. What is the timeline, though, or has there been even a timeline set for how long the rebuilding process could take in Maui?
Sharika, we were driving yesterday, the first day that Lahaina opened the roads, and it is really just miles of devastation. it's so
Yes, Tsunami, you got a
difficult
great
to
point.
comprehend how the
Great
cleanup
point,
efforts
Tsunami.
will go. I mean, I've covered wildfires in California and gone a year later, sometimes 2 years later, and the rebuilding is not done. And I'm talking about areas that are just a tiny fraction of what was happening
I
here.
mean, that's all wiped
Also, we're
out.
talking about an
There's
island that
nothing
doesn't
there.
deal with wildfire, or an
It's gonna
archipelago
have to
that
be,
doesn't
like
really
she
deal
said,
with
all scooped
wildfires as
away.
much as
Look at
they
that.
do in places like California. So
There's
a lot of
nothing
the
there.
supplies, the labor, a lot of the what is needed to rebuild is kind of new and probably needs
sad.
to be shipped in. So when we talk to officials, when we hear from them, they're talking about weeks, if not months, just for the recovery and identification efforts. Rebuilding, and that's part of the danger. The concern is that when the eyes of the world go somewhere else, that is when the opportunity presents itself, when it's just the locals left on their own to fend off those other interests. That's where they say, I hope that everybody who's helping stands behind us, lets us lead with our ancestral wisdom and with respect to the culture, and also doesn't forget us and allow for things to happen that are not in the best interest of natives.
So true. Lilia Luciano, thank you.
All right. So as all that went on, we heard about the land grabs, but we also heard a lot about roadblocks. They were not allowing residents to go back. So let's hear a little bit about that. Let me just find my video here.
By meeting with evacuees and cataloging their video, a more robust timeline comes into focus, and there are some surprises. Lahaina Luna Road, where it meets the highway, that was shut down at one point. Keawe Street and Honoapilani northbound was shut down during the height of the evacuation for over 2 hours. Downed power lines entangle these cars on Honoapilani Highway near Kapunakea, 1 block north of Lahaina Gateway. This man at 2:53 p.m. August 8th is unsure if the lines are energized and removes the power line from his SUV using a branch. Videos shot by Travis Miller shortly after he goes in and out of Safeway at 3 p.m. show northbound lanes then shut down. This video shows no cars on the blocked-off highway still 5:24 p.m., 2.5 hours later, when Debbie Schultz-Peterson shot this video. Miller's video documented the lane closure during that time. He says police directed traffic down Keawe Street into the cannery.
And either went out the backside on the front street. I could see that everyone was blocked, so I went out and I came this way, and I got under the power line.
Though we are not crossing the barricade, we're told we cannot film here.
You go somewhere else, but you guys not allowed here.
Big cloud of black smoke past the window.
Before 4:30 p.m., Chantal Katnak is on the other side of the road closure, trying to get to the highway north from the vicinity of the bypass.
There was only one cop in that area where we were at, blocking for us to go to Keawe Street.
She and her son Keanu can't even get down to the cannery. She follows a line of cars, taking a residential back road north, leading through Waikuli. She detours to Old Stewart Road, which eventually becomes a dirt residential street. However, the bypass is right behind her, only it's closed, but there's more. Those trying to exit the middle of town from Lahaina Luna are also obstructed heading southbound. Before 3:30 p.m., Amanda Cassidy is among the early evacuees.
Anything could happen at any second, and I know that every second counts in those moments.
She leaves Lahaina Luna Makai of the bypass, but in this photo, she says when she reaches Lahaina Luna Road and the highway, it's blocked off by an officer, not just to the north, but south as well. And that's only part of the story. This investigation will continue when we look at the lane closures for those heading south of town. Reporting from Lahaina Luna Road, Jeremy Lee, KITV4 Island News.
Now, this is local news, so keep in mind, this is local. You're getting the real story. That's why I always say, when you go into a situation, don't fucking listen to the mainstream media. Go right to the local news, because they're going to tell you what's going on. That's why I always say that. Go to the local. If you can find a local station that's reporting on something, go to the local news, because they're going to tell you what's going on. All right, here's more about the Roadblocks, and this is a reporter. I believe this reporter was arrested for reporting about the zone barricades. Let's hear this.
Did was I booked a hotel that was about 45 minutes away from Lahaina because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be in the way. I didn't want to pull resources from people that needed them out there, such as,
What
residents.
I'm saying, Doodle, the fact of local news, when they get locals on there, locals are going to speak. They're going to say something. They may not get it always correct in the sense of what's, being reported, but if they get locals like live cameras and people start talking, you're going to hear what the story is. I mean, we heard that the first, let's use Danilo Cavalcante. All the locals that they talked to down in the area, they were telling you what was going on. They were telling the truth. All the people that lived in and around that area, they knew what was going on, and they knew the response, and they knew all of the things that were happening at specific times. That's what I mean.
Were displaced that needed a hotel. Once I went out there, I rented a truck. And honestly, I rented a pickup truck. The reason being was because I was hell-bent on getting into that exclusion zone. I was like, I'll go to jail before I let them, keep me out of that exclusion zone, because, they decided they were going to start arresting residents and such. And I was ready to do that. So I bought the pickup truck because I wanted to go around it. And luckily, the next day, they finally opened up the main road that goes around Lahaina. I never did enter the exclusion zone, and but I could get at least close enough to the point where I could put a drone up in the air. I'm going to publish that video here, hopefully later today. It's close drone video.
What kind of drone do you have? The Spark, or do you have a Phantom?
I have a Mavic 2 Pro.
Okay, that's a good one. All right.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. I can pretty much I can pack it in a small bag and be fun. But it keeps getting taken away by police, though. It wouldn't be the first time it would get taken away this time.
So you're staying far away. You rent a pickup truck. You expect to try to get around the exclusion zone. What is this exclusion zone? Are there like barricades set up so that journalists and not pedestrians, civilians can't get back there?
Yeah, no. Even if you're a resident, you're going to get arrested for going in there. They've already begun arresting residents. It's so rock solid. There is hardly any gaps in any fences, and anywhere there is a gap, you've got National Guard, you've got state police. That are, if you go in, they're going to know that you go in. They're going to know very quickly. And there's no sign of that stopping. If anything, over the past several days, they've actually put up more fencing and put black sheathing, so that you can't even see through. It's crazy. What are we waiting on?
You're welcome.
You're still not going to let people go back into their homes? I'm sorry. If I was a resident, I would do the same thing this other guy did that he got arrested for. I would absolutely be going in there at this point, because how long can these people wait especially people that weren't in Lahaina at the time, residents of Lahaina that weren't there during the fire? They have no idea if there's anything left of their home. They have no idea if any of their belongings are left there. It's crazy. And oh, well, they're definitely not holding daily press conferences. They hold press conferences every once in a while. But the problem is they handpick who goes into the press conference. I can't get into the press conference. They're not going to let any residents ask any questions. Mayor Bisson doesn't go out in public. That's why when you saw the video of when I was confronting him, that was such a rare occurrence that the media were swarming him, trying to ask him questions, an impromptu press conference.
Are you heading back?
Yes, I will be.
When are you going back?
In the next few days. My goal was to keep the story alive. That was the whole thing with East Palestine as well. Because as soon as this stuff goes out of the news, the government goes away. These people are left hung out to dry. So, either sometime this weekend, I would say I'll be back out. Why are they still excluding media, and why are they building more barricades to keep media and residents out of Lahaina? All that's doing is driving conspiracy theories here. And they have to know that at this point. The people of Lahaina, by the way, and around Lahaina, they're still not able to drink water, by the way. Kula, which is probably about 45 minutes away from Lahaina, they're still having to drink and shower only with bottled water.
This was almost 2
and
weeks
nobody's
ago.
talking about that either.
And
FEMA.
The thing that I have to say, I had all this queued up like 2 weeks ago, and then Danilo Cavalcante happened. And I wanted to get on top of that. But here's the thing. I tried looking for new video of what's going on down there. And I'm going to show you a video at the end of this podcast that's going to completely blow your mind. But there's nothing being talked about this now. I mean, it's essentially swept under the rug. No one is talking about this anymore. And this is why I thought it was important to get this one out of the can and out there. Like I said, this is episode 77. I'm on like 96 now. So I've been meaning to do this, but this is not being talked about now. It's crazy.
They're not helping. The media is still there, and they're already not helping. It's just going to get worse. I want to know why. Why isn't the federal government helping these people more? It's insane, and I feel terrible for them. There are families that have been there for generations in Lahaina that they've been offered $10 million for their properties, their small houses and stuff they have there. And these people aren't wealthy. They're working 2 and 3 jobs, but they refused to sell it. People were like banding together, refusing to sell this property. And then one of the first thing the governor does when this fire happens and it starts getting a lot of media attention, he says, "Oh, well, we're going to go in there and we're going to buy all the property from the residents via eminent domain." And I mean, that is not going over well with these people, and they're about to absolutely explode over that. So they're not going to let it happen. Okay, in the beginning, you had the governor of Hawaii come out and say, "Oh, well, the sirens didn't work." That's what he said originally.
Oh, okay. Oh well. I mean, that's our job. And
right. And then the next day he said, "Well, okay, well, some of them didn't work." Okay. And then the third day, the Maui Emergency Management Agency comes out and says, "Oh, well, we don't have any record of anybody actually trying to activate the sirens." Okay. And that's when the excuse became, well, we don't actually activate sirens unless there's a tsunami because apparently the people of Lahaina must be so stupid that they'll run directly into an inferno because, you know, they think there might be a tsunami, because they said, "Oh, well, people are trained to run uphill." Okay. They're not trained to run uphill into an inferno.
Right.
And also, if you look on the Hawaiian government's website, it says very specifically that they are
the donation that I'm putting there, the GoFundMe for anybody that's new that's coming into here. And I'll pull it up again once this video completes and I'll talk about it a little bit. But let's finish the last minute and then I'll pull up that GoFundMe.
Are all disaster sirens, dam breaks, terrorist attacks, wildfires, tsunamis,
ballistic
tornadoes,
missiles coming
ballistic, right. You know, try to give us a little bit of information, be a little bit transparent, and a lot of these conspiracy theories, quote unquote, will go away. And I really want to help people, and I'm trying to do my best, and we're gonna keep doing it. So thank you for bringing attention to this, man. I really appreciate it.
Keep up doing what you're doing. Obviously, stay safe as that patronizing thing goes, but don't do anything stupid. Okay, you don't do anything stupid with the government. They
I know you're an attorney, so I mean, I guess that's what you're supposed to say that.
as an attorney, I would say don't drive your truck off road to get to the exclusion zone. Don't swim across, and be careful where you fly your drone as well. But and the chat is eager to see the drone footage. So Nick Sortor, SORTOR, but the link is in there. Everyone knows where to find you. Nick, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good reporting, Nick, and I love what you're doing out there. If you ever see this, but so the individual that we're trying to raise money to, she's very close to getting her goal. She became very famous. I have a video of her for anybody that just came into the room that is new here right now. This is Christina Borg, and she's 61 years old and born and raised in Maui. And she's literally living on the floor of a gym right now. And she's so close to reaching that 10,000 goal to get her some relief, her and her son some relief. If you can, please, if you can, open your hearts, even $5, $10. I've given here 25. I gave 25 the other day, and I'm going to try to do my best to pop 25 in there as much as I can to help Christine, because it's so close to her goal. So if anybody this evening can just open up their heart a little bit and donate a little bit of money Christine, and let's try to get her to that 10,000. Let's get her off that gym floor. She's 61. She lost a lot of her house pets, and she's just been devastated by this fire. She really needs the money, and I'm going to keep visiting this until she reaches that goal. I will keep putting this out every podcast from here on out until she reaches that goal. So you will hear this over and over and over and over again until Christine can reach her goal. That is my promise right now to this resident. And I think that she deserves it. And we need to get her off that damn gym floor. This breaks my heart. It really does break my heart. So let's continue. I'm going to drop the link one more time here. And again, this is someone that I can't. It's one person that I can bring and raise awareness to, we'll try to help her out as much as we can. So, okay, so let's do this. Speaking of celebrities, we had some outrage. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Oprah Winfrey face backlash for asking fans to donate the Maui Fund instead of contributing more themselves. So here you go. Oprah, a billionaire. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, pretty damn close to being a billionaire. They couldn't open up their pockets more, and then they're soliciting donations from the public to help. I think it's a little low class. They could have written the check. They live, and look at the background of the photo. This is the funny thing about it. Look at the background of the photo. They're not, believe me, the part of the island that they live on is like Christine was saying, that part of the island did not burn. And there's been some reports that there were private fire companies firefighters hired to save the homes of the rich in that area. And they're not in a devastated area. Look, it's nice. It's blue. There's trees. There's grass, So a lot of backlash there. A lot of backlash. And we're going to bring up just another small article. And I have a couple more videos that we're going to play before we close out. Oprah Winfrey faces accusations of hiring firefighters to protect her massive estate during Maui wildfire after requesting donations for her displaced victims who lost their homes. Oprah Winfrey is being accused of doing everything she can to protect her Hawaii estate from unprotected wildfires that devastated the island of Maui in August. Multiple media sources, users have posted videos alleging that she hired a private team of firefighters to starve off the flames from damaging her 2,000 plus acres of land. Not to mention, many are still outraged. The former talk show host publicly visited shelters where she displaced residents sought refuge to losing their homes. So a little bit of light on that subject there. Let's pull up this here. A couple more videos before we end this podcast this evening. Let's hear this here.
This morning, some relief for the people of Maui from two of Hollywood's biggest stars.
We've been meeting with community leaders.
See the background they're in? See the background they're in? They're living fine. Don't worry.
Just trying to figure out what we could do.
Oprah and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, coming together to aid communities impacted by the wildfires, launching a fund with an initial donation of $10 million, but also asking for more help.
In this time of need, you want to take care of the greatest need of the people, and that's giving them money.
The two reflecting on the devastation of the fires.
Oprah lives here in Maui. I was raised in these islands.
So if you live there and you were raised there, why are you not opening your wallet more? You're pretty damn close to both. Oprah's a billionaire. Rock is essentially a billionaire.
Family
do more for your people
in these islands.
I'm not seeing them out there helping the community. They're not humping sandbags and water and food, instead of going off to shoot a movie or whatever. I would dedicate maybe a month to helping the people get supplies, organize the communities there, help them out, rebuild their homes.
And it's going to take a long time to rebuild. Probably get a little worse before it gets a little better.
Yeah.
But we're here. Doing what we could do.
We're here on our ranch.
Is reeling, but working to rebuild. weeks after the fires ripped through the historic town of Lahaina. Search and rescue crews have all but finished their operations, while the death toll still officially stands at 115, the same it's been for weeks, with fewer than half of those victims actually identified. While those just searching for some peace want answers about how and why this happened, scarred residents say they had no warning of the fast-moving fire, with officials promising to overhaul the use of their siren system.
We see tremendous value in incorporating more tools into our arsenal.
This latest briefing, contentious.
Let me finish, brother.
The mayor questioned about who was calling the shots at the Emergency Management Center as Lahaina was burning.
I'm not sure who was in charge. I think Herman.
This guy's a
Dyer
joke.
was still in charge. He just
I'm
wasn't
not sure.
present.
This guy doesn't know anything. This guy never knows anything. How many children are lost? Oh, I don't know. How many residents still lost? I don't know. This guy doesn't know anything. He's a disaster. It's a fucking disaster.
In contact with his team.
I don't know who's in charge.
I guess by phone.
The questions mounting as more relief comes in.
know.
President Biden now pledging $95 million to rebuild infrastructure and to harden Hawaii's electric grid.
We're doing everything we can to move heaven
Sure,
and earth
Joe.
to help you recover, rebuild, and return to your lives.
Right.
And the president says that money is going to be
Meanwhile,
going to everything
Christine
from
Board
strengthening
living
aged
on a
power
fucking
poles
gym
to
floor.
smart meters, which would be used to pinpoint exactly where problems arise. Right now, we are under a red flag warning here until 6 p.m. at night, which means that there are dry fuels and windy conditions that lead to extreme fire danger. So we're going to be watching that for the hours to come. Chanel, back to you.
All right, speaking of BJ Penn, let's see an interview with him.
12,000 people have been displaced after the fires in Maui. With the land being burnt to a crisp, residents are suspicious of land grabs and vulture developers who we hear have been calling them trying to buy up their properties. They worry Maui will be built back in favor of rich vacationers and billionaire tech titans that have been grabbing up land all over Maui, and they'll be priced out. Hawaii Governor Josh Green issued an emergency proclamation on housing development 3 weeks before the fires that put a housing czar in charge of development. The community is suspicious of the governor. The governor says it's not my fault. People are angry. They're just traumatized. But is the governor even listening? Earlier this week, he bailed out on a community meeting before even meeting with the community.
Of course, people are traumatized, and we're in an era of mistrust, and I respect that. We have to build trust like with all things. So we'll be building back. We want everyone to know that we'll only build Lahaina back when the people.
Didn't we hear that before? Build back better.
People of Lahaina tell us how they want to do it.
Well, Hawaii native and former UFC champ BJ Penn showed up at one of these community hearings and gave everybody a piece of his
Didn't we hear
mind.
that before? Build
We come
back
here to
better?
talk about something, and then you guys start fighting back with us. You work for us. You don't talk to your boss like that, right? Who talks to their boss like that? Shame. Shame is when you steal. Shame is when you do something behind everybody's back. Look at Josh Green, how weak man. What happened? I came inside, what? He got to go check his bevities? What is going on? He only signs the bill to further his political career. So what is next? He let go for president. And that's what you guys look for. Oh, that's the guy I look up to. The guy who screws everybody over to get to the top. Come on. That's not what Hawaii is about. Aloha is the law.
Hawaii native and former MMA world champ BJ Penn joins me now. So BJ, when you're at these meetings, and I salute you because that was a lot of passion and we needed to hear that. Do these politicians, are they actually arguing with the community?
You know, they actually do argue with the community. They really did forget. They really forgot what this was about. And you're a public servant. You're here to serve the people, you know, and I use the word waiter just, you know, as a servant, just trying to show them that that's why you're here. You're here for us. And I knew because I ran for governor, and I knew that, you know, as soon as I get in, that would be my first words: at your service.
Public service. That's actually specifically what the title is to be a politician. So the governor, you heard him say on CNN that he'll rebuild, he'll build back better, to use the political jargon of the day, once he hears from Hawaiians what they want. Haven't you been telling him what you want?
Exactly. when he was first asked what was he going to do with Lahaina, he said, "I don't want any foreigners coming in, so the state will take Lahaina." Never once did Josh Green say, "I'm going to check with the people of Lahaina. They're in shock right now. They're in trauma. And after everybody gets ready, I really want to talk to them first. Before I do anything, I'll talk to the people of Lahaina." He never said that once.
So how is the community feeling right now? Describe the level of mistrust, trauma, outrage. Let us know.
I mean, it is, they say that this is a left, the state is very left, and it's that type of state, but I think everybody's starting to pick up real quick about what's going on, about the agenda, about, you know, the state wants to take over everything, and it's always been that way. Hawaii has always been a socialist, communist, you know, state, and it's time to get out of it. The people are in the position right now with the tax assessment, the assessment property tax. It's killing everybody. Everybody's going to have to leave. You got people who've been here for generations who will never move, yet somebody next to them will sell their house for $10 million, and now this guy has got to pay the tax on it. Everybody's going to be forced out unless we do something.
So people are taking advantage of the situation already. It's the highest tax state. Now there's a whole swath of land that there's no property on it. What have you seen and what have you heard that people are up to?
Well, it's obvious that they want to do that. And we brought up different things when we were at this last meeting, and never once did they say anything different. I think they're just in a hush-hush mode. And, you know, they did this emergency proclamation, which canceled the sunshine law. So now you can't shine light on anything. They just want to keep everything secret. And now he has all these powers, you know. It's very disturbing what's going on.
So they seized power. They blacked out everything so the public can't see it. And they all have dollar signs in their eyes?
I believe so. I believe so. And Lahaina's going to be the start. They probably want to set a precedence there and then come to all the other places, you know. Me, I'm from Hilo, but I got no problem fighting these guys for any state, city, land, 1 acre, a quarter acre, whatever it is, 100 feet. We got to fight them. We can't stop. We got nothing else to do.
Well, you have a big heart, and tell everybody in the neighborhood that I love them. And you should just show up at every single community hearing and grab the mic. How about that?
You know, I might have to.
All right. Thank you, BJ. Hey.
All right. Good stuff there. BJ Penn, former MMA world champion. Good stuff there. Well, not only are there celebrities that are stirring up shit in Maui, there are celebrities that are speaking out against them. Keanu Reeves, let's hear from him.
It looks like Keanu Reeves is finally speaking out about how Hollywood elites like Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are trying to use the Maui fires to scam people out of donation money, and you're not going to believe what he has to say.
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui that we were texting back and forth. And I read this article that Dolly Parton had given money in her community. And I said, I think this is the answer. You said, I think that's the answer.
I said, I love it.
And so we have created the People's Fund of Maui.
Following the Maui wildfires, which left 115 people dead just a few weeks ago, Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came forward and launched the People's Fund of Maui, allegedly providing direct financial assistance to victims of the wildfires. The two mega-billionaires asked people to donate as much as they could to the fund. However, rumors that this fund might be a scam have started floating around. What does Oprah have to do with the Maui wildfires, and is she really trying to steal donation money to buy more land in Maui? Let's find out.
I'm completely heartbroken over this, and I know all of you are too. Everything that I've seen transpire over these past couple of days, everything that continues to transpire, hour by hour, minute by minute, it's all heartbreaking.
The Maui wildfires were responsible for 115 confirmed deaths back in August. And with more than 300 people still missing, these fires are turning out to be the worst natural disaster in the history of Hawaii. The Maui wildfires destroyed Hawaii to the point of a national emergency and left thousands of people without a place to live. In the middle of all this chaos, it was revealed that Oprah owned more than 2,000 acres of land in Maui. Oprah owning this much land land in a native Hawaiian area received mostly negative reactions from people, as everyone thought it was weird for Oprah to own land, knowing it might lead to the displacement of the native people. Soon after this was revealed, Oprah launched a campaign to collect donations for the people of Maui. A lot of people felt that Oprah was doing this to distract people from the news of her owning gigantic swaths of land in native areas. However, what made these rumors even worse was news that Oprah's entire donation campaign might be a sham. Oprah revealed her plan to launch the People's Fund of Maui on the 31st of August, along with Dwayne Johnson. The two said that they had launched the fund to put money directly in the people of Maui, and that each affected survivor would receive $1,200. The two posted a video on both Instagram and TikTok with the caption, "We're honored to announce the People's Fund of Maui, a fund putting money directly in the pockets of those who were affected by the recent wildfires." As we have seen firsthand, the impacts of these wildfires have been devastating. And we're here to ensure with 100% guarantee that your donations will go directly into the hands of Lahaina residents. Now, let's just say people weren't exactly loving the idea of a billionaire and a multimillionaire asking working class people to donate when they themselves could have done so much more. One fan commented under the video saying, "Girl, you got some nerve asking us working class people who can barely afford to put food on the table for our families to donate. Why don't you ask your millionaire, billionaire buddies to help?" Other people also replied to the video calling out Oprah for her performative activism and said, "What's really sad is that a lot of people..."
Now listen, I'm a capitalist through and through, but look, they can do more. They can do more, and good for them. They're rich. Good for them, but they can do more. They can open their pockets more. There could have been a $20 million, $25 million donation. There could have been more. And, like Carrie was saying earlier, it's just going to be a tax write-off for them. But they could have done something. They could have done more. They could have been out there doing more for these people.
People will donate their hard-earned money simply because of who she is. They will blindly trust her and never bother to question. Why isn't she hitting up all her millionaire buddies? Because they probably know better. I know a lot of people think Oprah is some angel, but they are fools. This woman is beyond evil. Another wolf in sheep's clothing. It makes me sick to my stomach. Another user joked, "Math ain't mathing with this one. You guys literally have so much money. You can donate it and make it back within a year." Now, performative activism and lack of genuine contribution aside, Oprah and Dwayne did at least help the people of Maui, right? As it turns out, that didn't happen at all. Oprah and Dwayne claimed that they had started the fund to help the people of Maui since they both had such a deep history with the place. Soon after the fund launched, however, people found out that the guarantee of Maui residents receiving 100% of the donations wasn't entirely correct. One woman on TikTok decided to dig into the organization and found out that while affected Maui residents were only receiving $1,200 each, the executives involved in managing the fund were making well over $100,000 to sometimes even $400,000. Again, this is the nonprofit. Look at the salaries of the executives. The president of the nonprofit that manages this fund is making over $400,000 a year. You got the CEO making over $300,000. You have the CFO making over $290,000 a year. These are the executives. All these people, you go all the way down, right? Except for the people on the board. You go all the way down to VP advocacy, and they're making over $171,000 a year. These are the salaries of the people that are executives of the nonprofit that's managing this fund. They're giving these people $1,200. The f*** are they going to do with $1,200? Now, if that didn't make it clear that Oprah was doing everything just for looks, wait till you find out that she actually hired a security team to keep wildfire survivors away from her land. A viral video of Twitter claimed this with the user saying,
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui.
You're so concerned about what's happening in Maui that you somehow managed to hire a private firefighting team to protect your land before the fires started. You're so concerned about what's happening in Maui that instead of taking some of that land and housing even a small portion of those displaced people, you've hired a private security team to keep them off your land. You're so concerned about Maui that you simply haven't had time to denounce any of the shady real estate deals which are robbing people of everything they have, like the ones you were involved in.
The user also went on to add, "You are so concerned about Maui that you are asking the American public, most of whom can't pay their rent right now, to donate the money to your fundraiser instead of actively donating that money and helping." The nail in the coffin, however, has to be the fact that both Oprah and Dwayne Johnson blatantly lied about their own donations. When the fund was announced, Oprah and Dwayne Johnson said that they were going to include $10 million of their own money to the cause. A recent fact check, however, has revealed that the fund only has $4,000 in it at the moment. Shocked? You're not the only one. Oprah's complete lack of empathy and her commitment to doing basically nothing helpful for the people of Maui was so obvious that even other celebrities started calling her out.
Wow.
Jason Momoa hinted at the situation with Oprah's fund and talked about how some truly evil people were trying to scam people under the guise of asking for donations. Jason later advised his fans to only donate to funds and campaigns that he himself had shared on his account.
I wanted to inform everyone that there's been some people on Instagram pretending to be me, asking for money. Pure evil, in my opinion. I'm not going to be reaching out to anyone on Instagram to ask for money. I am posting and reposting as much as possible to the proper places you can donate, but I am not reaching out to anyone asking for money. So please do not send money to these up people. Lahaina _Ohana _Venmo.
It'd be
directly delivered to the
I was just looking at the website, and there's not even a running total on the website of the amount of money that's been, and I may be wrong. I mean, I can go back and look at it, but maybe someone can maybe find it. I don't see any running total. There's no counter on there. There's no updates. There's no, this is how much has been given thus far. There's no running total. It's just got an apply button. So if you're a resident there, you apply. And if you want to donate, there's a donate button, but there's no running total. We don't know how much money's been donated. That's a little weird. I would think that if it's that important to be transparent about that you would have a running total as donations come in. I mean, where can I check the number? Let's play that, and then I'll pull up the website. You all can see it.
Oprah is taking advantage of people in a bad situation and using their pain to benefit herself. Keanu Reeves has talked about how grief changes you, and no matter how long ago a traumatic event happened, it still affects you and changes you. In an interview with Parade magazine, Keanu Reeves said grief changes shape, but it never ends. People have a misconception that you can deal with it and say, it's gone and I'm better. They're wrong. When the people you love are gone, you're alone. And don't forget, Kanye said trauma and grief is how the Hollywood elites control people and use them for their own advantage.
Around Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize.
A lot of fans think Oprah, too, might be trying to monetize people's trauma surrounding the Maui wildfires and using their donations for her own interest. Others, however, believe that it's all a coincidence and people just want a reason to hate on Oprah. They donated $10 million. I don't understand why there is such negative reaction to this, but I must emphasize that being wealthy and accomplished doesn't obligate someone to distribute their wealth. What do you think? Is Oprah really scamming people?
All right, so I don't really want to sit through the wrap up, but let's do this. And then I got one more video. We're going to wrap this up. I mean, I'm looking at the website. Look, you have apply for assistance. Okay, here's how it works. Donate, facts. There's no running total. If I click on apply, it goes to the screen how I can apply. Okay. If I go to donate, I can donate. There's no running total. I don't know how much money has come in. I would want to see that. I would want that to be transparent, a running total as donations come in, right? Am I wrong on that? Would you want to see that? So I just think it's a little weird. It's a little weird. right? It's a little weird. You know, it's like they said in the video, it was only like $4,000 at the time that it launched, that came out. But one person that you can donate to is Christine Borg. Let's get her off that floor. This poor 61-year-old lady. Let's get her off that floor. You know, you go to Christine's GoFundMe. Look, there's a running total. We can see how much money's coming in, right? We can see the funds. And I can say that I see several names here after I did make the announcement to try to help her out. You all have been great. I can see the donations that have come in. I've done some donations. A lot of people have donated since then. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. But I'm telling you, every podcast I'm bringing this up, and we're going to get to this goal. You will hear about it until we get to this goal. But let's try to open up our hearts and get Christine off that floor in that gymnasium. I'm going to post this every single podcast until we get her off that floor. We reach that goal of 10,000. All right, one more video, then we're going to wrap this up. So after all of this, guess what tech experts are trying to do? They're trying to curve the conspiracy theories.
Rumors from the Maui wildfire spread fear and division. Big tech took the hot seat on Capitol Hill.
Terry.
Yeah, and tonight some Hawaii social media
Thank you
sites
for
are
being
trying
here.
to set the
You know,
record
I
straight.
know listen, I know this is not mostly the topics we cover here, but these are extremely important things to cover. And I've always said this, that on this channel, I will fight for true facts and true crime. I will expose scams and deceptions, and I will fight for communities. That's what our goal is here, and give a voice to those communities. And I've offered my services to many people, but for some reason they don't want to use this platform. And my platform is open. If there's anybody from the Lahaina area or in Maui that knows what's going on, that can give us an update, my platform is open to you if you would like to speak. We want to hear your story. You can reach out to me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com, and I will make time for you. We want to hear everything. We want to see what's going on. All right, let's do this.
Mahealani Richardson joins us with the latest. Mahea.
Ash and Mark, after H&N's story aired yesterday that researchers found China and Russia were linked to online misinformation from the Maui wildfires, there were many angry comments, including saying that the
Always
report
China
was
and Russia,
government
right?
propaganda. Now tonight, Hawaii Congress members, the tech industry, and social media experts are trying to figure out what to do about the conspiracy theories that just keep spreading.
It's always
And I
those
worry
damn
that
conspiracy
with
theories.
AI, such information will only become
See,
more.
the reason government is stepping up like this now and saying this, because the truth is getting out. We've heard from the locals, so we're hearing the truth. And now they're going to start saying that it's Russia and it's China spreading conspiracy theories. We know it's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit, because on LTL tonight, we heard from the residents there. We heard from the locals. We've heard the truth. So big government's going to step in now and say, oh, no, this is all conspiracies. It's all conspiracy theories.
More rampant.
U.S. Senator Mazie Hirono says the federal government's response was hindered by online rumors.
Maui residents were subject to disinformation, some of it coming from foreign governments, i.e. Russia.
Fuck you, you
Looking
liar.
to sow confusion and distrust, including don't sign up for FEMA because they cannot be trusted.
Let's look at what happened after the fire in Maui.
Brad Smith, vice chair and president of Microsoft, said people come together during disaster. On Maui, they did, but there was also division.
We had some people, not necessarily directed by the Kremlin, but people who regularly spread Russian propaganda, trying to discourage the people of Lahaina from going to the agencies that could help them. That's inexcusable. And we saw what we believe
lying
is
to you.
Chinese directed activity trying to persuade the world in multiple languages
He's
that the fire
lying.
was caused by the United States government itself using a
Liar.
meteorological weapon.
Liar. You
Those
are
are the
fake
things that
news.
we should all try
You
to
are fake
bring the
news.
international community together and
Liar.
agree they're off limits.
Liar.
It's a psychological warfare. We are fighting a war online, and there are foreign actors that are messing with our minds. And we're watching our own community and family members. We're seeing them change. Their personalities are changing.
Daniela Sofitel is administrator of 808 Viral, a popular Hawaii online site. She's been trying to debunk the online myths, including a government land grab. Governor
Liar.
Green did not tell reporters he wanted to
Liar.
make Lahaina a smart city,
Liar.
which was fact-checked by the Associated
You are
Press.
fake news.
It's okay to be angry at the government. It's okay to not be happy about what happened.
You are
But we
fake
have
news.
to have our feelings be our own and our community work together. And what these campaigns are doing is dividing.
Now, experts say government needs to be proactive
Had
about
your
social
kids,
media
had
and
your
have
wife.
a plan for dealing with disinformation that's inevitable after a disaster. Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
All right, ladies and germs. That is, we're just coming up on 2 hours. We're going to hit that 2 hour. Yeah, just playing climate change. I think Roseanne just totally capped off the sundae with that cherry on top. We're just going to blame climate change. All right, that's going to wrap up here. It's been 2 hour banger tonight. Lots of great information. Again, I'm going to post that link. If you can, open up your heart. Let's get Christine off that floor in that gymnasium. Let's get her that $10,000. I'm going to keep posting this on every podcast going forward until we reach that goal for her. And a lot of crazy stuff going on in Maui. I'm going to continue to look into this. I will try to get as much information I can, and we'll do another recap show soon about this, but there's not a lot of information. A lot of things are being covered up and a lot of things are being hidden, but we can be the voice for that community. LTL will open up our platform for the citizens of Maui, the citizens of Lahaina to talk. So again, if you are from Maui, you are from Lahaina, you need a voice, you need a platform. My platform is open and free to you to use. Just email me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on all the other socials, LTL Podcast on Facebook, Let's Talk Live YTC on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram at ltl.podcast. You can reach me any single way there. We'll get some news if you need that. So this is going to end tonight's episode. This is episode 77, and hopefully I will see you all soon in the future with some future podcasts lined up. Thank you all for being positive, interactive with this evening. It's a very, very, very important podcast. I think probably one of the most important podcasts that we've had here so far to get this information out, have it reported on, and have you all come in and watch. So thank you all so much. I hope you all have a good night, and I will see you all again soon. I'm going to hit the outro. Bye, ladies and germs. Bye. You know what? I'm gonna pause real quick, and I'm gonna come back. This is, I'm getting upset at seeing stuff like this in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna speak on this right now. Okay, if LTL podcast is not for you, you don't have to be here. You know, and I see this stuff like, oh, they're in your chat, or this person's a mod, or you have this person on your panel. I make decisions for LTL podcast. Okay. If you don't like someone that's here or on my panel or in the chat, there are a million other true crime channels to watch. Now, I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm getting tired of the negativity lately in my chat with the people that I choose to have here as mods or people on my panel. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. We try to do extremely positive things here on this podcast. And the funny thing is, you'll nail someone or talk shit about someone in this chat, but you'll go watch a lot of criminals that say that they're true crime channels, and you should go in and look in some of their past, some of the things that they do. Okay. So I'm getting upset about this stuff, and I'm getting tired of, like, I saw it all during the whole time that we were covering Danilo Cavalcante. And I'm sorry, I'm getting angry about this stuff. People coming in and announcing other channels, what they're doing. I don't care what X channel is doing or Y channel is doing. I focus here on LTL Podcast. That's why people come to LTL Podcast, to get a different experience other than the other channels of what they're doing. If you like that content, go watch them. But don't come into my chat and announce this person's doing this and that person's doing that and they're doing this right now. We don't care. That's why we're here at LTL. If you don't like positivity and you don't like things that we're trying to do here positively for a community, but you're going to wait until I go off air to start speaking and talking shit about people that come on my panel that are mods in my chat, okay? If you don't like it, go. It's fine. Unsubscribe, but don't be this little nitpicky person when you know I'm going off air and try to drop it in the chat and be negative. We had an extremely positive podcast here tonight, okay? Extremely positive podcast. And you're trying to ruin it because you know that I'm leaving and going off air. It's fine. Unsubscribe and leave. It's perfectly fine. If LTL is not for you, that's fine. You don't have to like the people that I bring here. But I'm going to tell you, did you watch anything during the Danilo Cavalcante footage that we did here? Did you watch any of that? The positivity that we had here? The people that came on the panel to assist and help? That gave positive. We had an amazing show. I had Jeff on. I had John on. John's reading the chat. Jeff's pulling up scanner feed for me. We had like a home base here. I'm going to tell you, probably was one of the best podcasts out there at that time. But we didn't run it up with fake bots. We didn't run it up with fake viewers. We didn't run it up with fake subscribers. We kept it real here. But it's okay. If LTL Podcast is not for you, just go. Unsubscribe. It's fine. Go watch other channels. And I'm going to tell you, look into the people's past that you think that are like these great channels. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of shady shit in their past. They're criminals. They've been to jail, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll leave it at that. But if you have something to say it when I'm on air. Don't say it when I hit the outro. Okay. So again, I'm sorry for acting this way, but I'm sticking up for my podcast. I'm sticking up for the people in my chat, and I'm sticking up for the people on my panel. I choose to have on who I want to have here. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. I just said to someone the other day that's very close to this channel. They don't like someone here, but they respected it. And they said, hey, if you're going to have that person on or they're going to be in the chat, I'm probably not going to be here. And I just said, that's fine. Sit that one out and come back. But don't wait until I go off air that you're going to be negative now. We had a super positive. I'm sorry, I have to do this live on air now. Super positive episode tonight. Super positive episode. And you're trying to ruin it. So unsubscribe. That's fine. You don't have to say anything in the chat to go. So everybody goes, oh, why are you going to do that? Just go or just don't watch anymore. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. People will always come and go. So I've said my piece. Everybody have a good night.